The morning it happened, I knew something was wrong before I even opened the front door. There was a heavy, sour smell in the air, the kind that makes your stomach tighten before your brain understands why. I stood there, coffee going cold in my hand, listening to the strange gurgling coming from under my kitchen sink. It sounded like my house was trying to breathe and couldn't. That was the moment everything with the HOA changed forever. I live in a quiet Canadian suburb where winters are long, neighbors smile politely, and people trust rules more than people. I bought this house after my divorce, hoping for peace. The HOA promised order, fairness, and community. At first, I believed them. But over time, small things started piling up. Notices for grass being half an inch too tall. Complaints about my recycling bin being out an hour late. Every letter signed by the same HOA board member, a woman named Linda, who lived 3 houses down and acted like she owned the entire street. That morning, when I finally opened the door to the basement, my heart dropped. Dirty water was slowly creeping across the floor, soaking into boxes of old photos, my son's childhood hockey gear, and the rug my mother had given me before she passed away. I stood frozen, then panic hit all at once. I shut off the main water line and called a plumber. When he arrived and checked the outside drain, his face hardened. He told me the drain had been intentionally blocked from the shared access point, the one controlled by the HOA. I felt anger, confusion, and disbelief all mixed together. I called the HOA immediately. Linda answered in her calm, almost cheerful voice. She told me the drain was blocked because my house had ongoing compliance issues, and this was a temporary enforcement action. I couldn't even process what I was hearing. She spoke as if flooding my home was no different than issuing a parking warning. I told her this was illegal, dangerous, and cruel. She replied that I was free to file a complaint and hung up. Over the next 2 days, my house smelled like damp rot. Insurance paperwork piled up. My son, home from university for the weekend, helped me carry ruined belongings to the curb. I tried to stay strong in front of him, but when he carried out the photo box and saw my mother's pictures destroyed, I had to turn away so he wouldn't see me cry. This wasn't about rules anymore. This was personal. I filed complaints, sent emails, and even contacted the city. Everything moved slowly. The HOA, meanwhile, did nothing. The drain remained blocked. Every time I used water, it threatened to back up again. I stopped sleeping properly. I replayed Linda's voice in my head, calm and dismissive, like I didn't matter. Then one evening, after another ignored email, something inside me snapped. Not in a violent way, but in a quiet, exhausted way. I read the HOA bylaws again, line by line. I realized something important. The drain line they blocked didn't just serve my house. It also connected to Linda's property before reaching the main sewer line. They had blocked it at the junction closest to me, assuming I would suffer silently. The next morning, I hired a licensed contractor. We documented everything: photos, videos, measurements. Then, following legal advice, we temporarily restored the water flow from my side only, redirecting the backed up water safely and legally through the shared line. Within minutes, Linda's house experienced what mine had for days. Her living room flooded. I didn't feel joy. I felt relief. For the first time, the imbalance was gone. Within an hour, emergency crews, HOA members, and city officials were everywhere. Linda was crying, shouting, demanding answers. I stood there calmly, holding my folder of evidence. When the city inspector reviewed it all, his expression said everything. The HOA was immediately ordered to unblock the drain completely and cover all damages to my home. An investigation was launched. In the weeks that followed, things changed. The HOA board was restructured. Linda resigned. My house was repaired, though some things, like those photos, were gone forever. Still, something else grew in their place. A sense of self-respect I hadn't felt in years. Neighbors who barely spoke to me before started stopping by. They shared their own stories of fear and silence. We started talking, really talking, about what community should mean. Not control, not punishment, but fairness and humanity. Looking back now, I realize the flood wasn't just water. It was everything I had been holding in. Standing up for myself didn't make me a bad neighbor. It made me a human being again. And if there's one thing I learned, it's this: Rules without compassion destroy homes, but courage can rebuild more than walls.